Next speaker, again, from one great presenter to another, Madelaine Dowd, director and disaster relief designer, is a great recommendation of a friend of Rama, who has been speaking in this series many times. And any recommendation of his is a great recommendation for us. She is recognized for innovative work in maritime safety and disaster zone, and she will speak about enabling resilience through design. Madelaine, please.
Hello, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of the conversation today. And honestly, it's such a pleasure and an honor to be able to join such an amazing panel. There are projects which have inspired me in my career that have been featured today with founders, organizations, and CEOs. So honestly, this is a milestone moment for me. So thank you very much for having me. So as a brief description, I am a blonde, fair-skinned white woman wearing a very vibrant bright blue jumper in front of an elusive white double door behind me. I promise no one will jump out. But on screen is an image of me on site over in Fontecchio following the earthquakes in Italy, where you can see me being escorted around by some of the services that were present. And as mentioned, I'm a director and disaster resilience designer, but I wear several hats. So I myself am an entrepreneur and have founded several businesses, Helm Innovation being one of them, where I've created life-saving maritime inventions which are patented and globally manufactured and produced, as well as the Cross Design Studio, which I'm director of, as well as a designer and researcher within, supporting a range of projects around disasters, sustainability, innovation, as well as working with charities such as Atlantic Pacific, that I'll talk a bit more about, and working with the Helen Hamlin Centre of Design, hence the very generous recommendation from Ram Nagarabo, who is the director of the centre. But I want to talk to you about disaster resilience design. So I've kind of coined this term and made it up along the way because it's something that resonated whilst I was initially doing my research at university. So what is a disaster resilience designer? What I do is I design life-saving solutions, to put it very simply. And that's because there is so much going on in the world. And as a designer and a researcher, there are so many applications in which we envelop and that we can actually have an impact. So being able to bring all of those together to see what we can be doing has been my aim. So this all started for me a long time ago following the 2011 tsunami. And this was over in Tohoku in Japan. So on screen are a series of images, 3 images showing the wave coming in the bay of Kamaishi in Tohoku. So the wave comes in, weaving its way through the buildings, and another image shows people running from Hotel Huracan. And then a following image shows buses, cars being displaced as people run up the hills. There's another image here which shows myself as a younger designer, as well as a team of people watching this video from that hotel featured in the video. So whilst we were over there, we encountered this video every morning and we made sure to sit and listen and watch because this was the reminder of what was outside. And if we were told to run, we had to run. But this was the other side of the camera. So on screen are 4 images that show you this wooden nature trail-esque escape route that was presented. So it has muddy slopes, it has debris, it has some handrails, but nothing substantial enough when you get to a certain point. This obviously presented so many dangers and wasn't a safe enough route for the majority of the aging population that inhabited that area. So this started my career, this started my passion, and these statistics I think are really key to remember. So 9.63 million people in Japan live with some kind of disability, including intellectual and physical mental disabilities. The number of people that died within that disaster was 25% disabled people. And it's also important to remember the situations in which those people encounter during and post-disaster. And on the right-hand side, there's an image that took me back, which whilst being in Japan, some vandalism had taken place and wheelchair area had been reduced to wee-chai area. So just to try and lighten things before coming to this next statistic. So in the Tohoku disaster, 20,000 people died. However, it was 30,000 that committed suicide every year following that. I just really want everyone to let that sink in. And for me, back at the time when I started doing this research, I was a spatial designer, worked in interior design and architecture for beautiful offices, and really lacked purpose. And this statistic, these numbers stay in my head with every project I do now and every project I take on. And to the right of this text are images of the frames of those temporary structures. These obviously are not inhabited, but these were still there 5 years after, which some people already today have spoken about these temporary shelters being far from that. And I can say that going back there last year, I agree, they are still there and are still being used. These structures, I've got some images on screen, and they very much look like container ship units. They have very basic interiors and provide the bare minimum, but also recognise that, for goodness sake, there's a step. These spaces, there's really basic functionalities that could be addressed, but in these times, that's what we're all talking about, and I'm glad we're all addressing these things. And there is space for design changes, not massive interventions, but things that make a difference for that huge population that we spoke about. There are some things that in Japan, they do absolutely fabulously. There's various wayfinding aspects like braille on the floor, which I encountered over there, as well as signalling when crossing roads, having audios. But when you look at the evacuation routes that are taking place and the time that people are being given, so there are warning times to say, right, this route's going to take you 15 minutes running to get to a high point that's safe. What about everyone else? What about all those people that aren't able-bodied? How long have they got? And if they're not being given that 15 minutes, what are you doing? If you're aware that this is a risk, then how do we make sure everyone is safe? And to give a sense of scale of interventions that are happening in Japan, there's space, there's funding, there's opportunities to create these massive seawalls and to re-landscape areas to create these breaks. But to be able to make these adjustments, tweaks and changes, there needs to be a new approach. There needs to be a creative approach in finding designers, resources and opportunities to intervene. And that's what's kept me going and pushes me with my projects. So I had an amazing opportunity with a charity called Atlantic Pacific that I would love all of you to reach out and have a look at their website and see what they're doing. They do many different things, but I was specifically called in to have a look at creating an architectural competition for a tsunami safety centre. So this presentation now is very much not about me. It's very much about the amazing work that has been enabled. And I'm really happy to share this project specifically. So the aim of this project was to create a safety centre within that bay that I've spoken about, where everything started, which was the founding place for Atlantic Pacific as a charity as well. And we had the likes of head of design at Foster and Partners. We had psychologists, architects, artists, all involved in critiquing these designs. And the winner was a woman called Katerina. And the approach that she'd taken, that thankfully for everyone, she had understood the brief, that it was about, yes, creating opportunities for engagement, but it was addressing the needs of aging populations. It was looking at accessibility and creating spaces for everyone to be safe. So her proposal, there's lots of statements down here, but feedback from the founder talking about it being an enjoyable, gentle solution with clear opportunities for growth and expansion. And I'm aware of time, so I won't read through all of these, but the images and this architecture that's being described is a platform that's on stilts with various slopes that enable wheelchair access, but making sure that those points are making the most of the view of the sea, as well as providing a safe route up to safety. And the space was broken down into areas for growth, play, movement, and reflection. And this breakdown of space gave opportunity for communities to engage in different ways and for everyone to be involved and for it to truly be inclusive. So this is a very early stage concept and design, which Atlantic Pacific has been supported by the Nippon Foundation and various organisations over here in England, which is where I'm speaking from today. But they continuously look for support in creating interventions like this and preventing drownings at sea too. So this route on screen is, well, this image, this beautiful image created by the late Chris Wainwright, shows ribbons of red light going up this escape route, which feeds its way into a forest going up a hill. This is the space for intervention. This is a place that we need to be addressing, and immediate impact can happen. So coming back to what is needed to close up my part of the talk, what is needed is collaboration and co-design. That's why I speak to you as a designer and an entrepreneur. I hope that all of us here will be talking and coming up with new ways of helping people. And with that, knowledge exchange, open calls for engagement and funding. These do exist in some places, but being able to come together and support with interventions is really key to create stronger foundations, enable more perspective, creating competition, because it's an amazing place to be within. So if we're able to create competition within disaster resilience design, we can make things better, and enabling sustainable innovation within this space. So just to finish up, I think within this area, creativity and leadership is really key. And it's where I know back at the Helen Hamlin Centre, creative leadership is very much key in what we do. But I want to bring this to this room as well. I think everyone in here is creative in the way that they've approached these disasters, these challenges, addressing accessibility, inclusivity, diversity, and all of us are leaders. So I invite you to reach out to me. I would love to support you. I'd love to have conversations. Please find me on LinkedIn. And thank you so much for staying on and listening in.
Thank you so much. Fascinating. I already SMS'd Rama, as always. Good recommendation.